Good evening. It's Monday, September 28th, 2020, and we're at 5 o'clock at our regularly scheduled trustee meeting. We'd like to have everyone that can rise and pledge of allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda for this evening. Is there any amendments or changes to the agenda?
Yes, Board, I have one under new business. I would like to add the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month Proclamation. That's already on your printed agenda.
Thank you. Anything else?
I have none.
No.
Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Trustee Kretz?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes. Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the general ledger report in the amount of $377,739.97 for the 9/23/2020 payroll.
Second.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Kretz?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the payment listing reports in the amount of $433,952.40 for warrants through September 23rd, 2020.
Second.
Trustee Kretz?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes. All right, we have minutes for the September 14th meeting. Were there any changes or corrections?
I had none.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the minutes for the regular trustee meeting for September 14th, 2020.
Second.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Kretz?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes. Are there any citizens here desiring to speak? You have 3 minutes each if there's someone who wants to come up and speak about any issue that we're going to talk to about tonight. Seeing none, we'll move to our pre-scheduled speaker. And the first one is the BSA Haunted Classic Soccer Tournament. Jerry.
Thank you. I sent you a letter to telling you we're going to do the Haunted Classic, even though COVID's kind of hurt our tournament as far as what we're allowed to do. So this is like Haunted Classic 2.0 in 2020, because now we can do a one-weekend tournament because they reduced the 24-hour rule where we can only play one match in one day.
Oh.
Now we can play matches as with the occupancy regulations are hurting us, so we have to use 4 complexes. But we are on the rebound. We lost the spring soccer club play and we lost the Creek Classic. Mm-hmm. But now the fall play is going on, and the Haunted Classic, we're going to pull this off. And credit to the people on the committee and the Beavercreek people that support this tournament. Most tournaments folded in the fall, so we're going to pull this off. We're going to utilize 4 complexes. Our team count is down, but we're still got close to 400. Wow. So we're still going to attract a lot of people to the area, and so we're looking to pull this off, and we're kind of excited about it because we know that we're up against a lot of stuff, but everybody is just doing amazing. They go to the next level, and so right now we're looking like it's going to be a success. So we're excited. So, but I asked last year and the year before. You always graciously reduced our tent fees, and I wonder if you could do it for us again this year.
Thank you, Board. Letters in your packet on page 15 and sample motion on page 16. This is the same motion that we've done 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just from a discussion standpoint, your budget impact this year, I'm assuming, based on what you lost in the spring, has been significant as far as...
I could honestly, I'll be honest with you, we're on the ropes. I mean, if our tournament isn't a success, if we don't pull this off, we actually went and got one of those loans from the government.
Sure. To
hold us over, but we're this is just something. That's why everybody's so excited to pull this off so we can survive. Because we got body slammed financially. We really did.
I guess what I'd like to maybe suggest or maybe have a discussion on, trustees, is if we can waive the fees completely rather than charge one fee per site.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Oh, awesome.
So if that allows
Yeah.
a couple more kids to participate, that'd be great. So I'll make a motion to waive regular tent permit fees for the Haunted Soccer Tournament sponsored by Beavercreek Soccer Association for 2020.
Second?
Trustee Kretz,
Yes.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you guys
We
very much.
appreciate you being here, and we were so sorry to see the classic not work, but
Yeah,
hoping that the haunted and with the new traffic light and the traffic pattern now, hopefully with the light there on Factory, think people will be able to get in and out easier and,
yeah, well, you know,
Hope it's great.
Ankeny, we reduced capacity at Ankeny, so it won't be as much traffic. That's why we're using the Warrior Complex for our force to reduce the volume. So yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll pull this off.
Great.
good. We'll
All
wish
right.
you the best of luck.
Thank you very much, people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. That was good. Okay, we have the State of Greene County Public Health by Jeffrey Webb.
Prefer that I speak up there.
Yes, you'll have a microphone to talk through.
So I got a couple items I wanted to bring to the council's attention. Of course, one of them is that we're going to be running our 5-year renewal levy this year. And so it is just a renewal, and it does pay for a number of the programs that we offer at the health district. Now, I work in the environmental division. I'm the environmental director, so I can really speak about how it helps our division, but I can also answer some questions too about some of the other programs. But for example, a number of the programs that are listed under environmental public health are 100% covered by the levy dollars, and that includes our housing program. You'll see it listed there, our jail inspection program, our nuisance abatement program, rabies control, and our school inspections. Now, a lot of the other programs that are listed there are primarily fee-based programs, but also, to a small part, the levy dollars also help to support them as well. And I'll just pick one out because that's one of my favorite programs. That's that private water and sewage program. And if you notice in your packet, I think that you should have a copy of this. This is actually a system that was just put in this past week in actually in your township for a resident. And a couple things I want to point out. One is the system that went in on that is a newly state-approved system that allows us to put systems in tight lots. You know, some lots, the house is big, but the lot is small. And so it's actually called an ATL system, and it's a sand-based system, and it does take up a smaller footprint than a standard system does. So on this particular lot here in this township, that's what we approved. And the other thing that I'd like to point out is we continually to adopt new technology at the health district, and this actually was taken by a drone that we acquired. Now all of our systems there at the health district, once the installer installs the system, then we take a photograph of that system from the air. And then what we do is, here a few years ago, we digitized all of our files. So we had 15,000 sewage and water folder files in 15 cabinets. And whenever somebody would call us and say, hey, I'd like to have a copy of my septic system. So we'd have to go back to this room, we'd wade through the filing cabinets, try to find the folder with that address on it. Well, now what we can do is, while we have them on the phone, we can just say, hey, let me look it up on the server, and we find it, and before we're done, we can just email them whatever they need. So before we're off the phone, they've got it. And so what this will do, this actually will be added to the digital folder for that particular property. In 20 years down the road, or 15 or whatever, say they sell the house and they have to have a drawing of it, this will not only, we always have a drawing, but this will also supplement the drawing when, say, a realtor or the homeowner needs a copy of their system. So we're very proud of what we've been doing in the sewage and water program. Like I said, some of the monies that we get from the levy help to support that partially in that program. And then a lot of people come to the health district to get their birth and death certificate. You'll notice vital statistics is mentioned under foundational public health. That although we do charge a fee for that, it's also supported by the levy funds. If you go to the next page, the communicable disease control is almost 100% supported by the levy dollars. And then you could imagine with COVID-19 right now, our nurses there at the health district are very busy doing contact tracing work, and they have been working very hard. I mean, they also have to do work related to all the other diseases that they deal with on a normal year, but also now have to deal with COVID-19 and all the contact tracing that's associated with that. So your dollars help to support those nurses' work. So we do a lot of programs at the health district to just give you a good idea of what we do. I handed out this little booklet. It's an excellent little booklet. Has all the programs and services that we provide. If you have a resident that, say, calls and says, I need to contact somebody at the health department regarding food protection, or who in the county does food protection, you can get this out. It has the phone number, contact number for that program in it. Not just environmental. I don't want to just plug our division, because there's a lot of great stuff that's going on in the health district besides environmental. But I think you'll find this little booklet very helpful if you've got a resident that's asking about a program, and a contact.
Thank you.
So that's all I have to give you tonight. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions, but just wanted to let you folks know what we're doing, and just to let you know that we do support the townships. And if you have issues, whether it's a nuisance issue or housing issue, we'd love to team up with the townships and work with them. So
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you.
questions
Thank you.
for Mr. Wood?
I had none. So the booklet is very nice.
thank you.
It's a handy handout.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And we have no old business. New business, Mr. Zaharia.
Thank you, Board. This year's a little bit different in regards to the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Every year we pass a proclamation recognizing Domestic Violence Month, which is the month of October, and they have a candlelight vigil that we present our proclamation to, along with every other jurisdiction in Greene County, including our state elected officials as well. This year, based on the topic we heard, based on COVID-19, that has changed. They will be doing a Facebook vigil live feed October, I believe, it's, I provided a letter to the trustees, it's October 5th in the evening. So I believe at that point they'll recognize, the resolutions that were passed and presented. So I do have a proclamation here for you. This is the language that was recommended for this theme for family violence, Greene County family violence. I have 2 copies here. Obviously, the green one goes to family violence, and the second one goes into our resolution book.
Any questions regarding the Family Violence Prevention Month?
I had none.
I don't know. Do we need to read the whole thing?
Yes, and some more in the packet. I'll read it.
I make a motion to adopt a proclamation to recognize October as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas Beavercreek Township, in recognition of the important work done by survivors, domestic violence programs, and victim service providers, we urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs sponsored by Beavercreek Township and other community organizations to work towards the elimination of intimate partner violence. And whereas in just one day across the U.S. and its territories, nearly 75,000 victims of domestic violence sought services from domestic violence programs and shelters. That same day, more than 9,000 requests for services, including emergency shelters, housing, transportation, childcare, and legal representation, could not be provided because programs lacked the resources to meet victims' needs. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole here in this community, throughout the United States and the world. And whereas racism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, and discrimination based on physical ability, nationality, or other factors help to perpetuate domestic violence and make finding safety even more difficult for some victims. And whereas the need for safe housing continues to be rated as survivors' most urgent need. And whereas Beavercreek Township joins with others across Ohio and the nation in supporting victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalition, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide who are committed to increasing the public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in Beavercreek Township. And whereas domestic violence impacts millions of people each year, but it can be prevented. Preventing domestic violence requires the collective voice and power of individuals, families, institutions, and systems, each whose number one thing adds a value and powerful component to transforming our communities. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of Beavercreek Township, Greene County, Ohio, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Beavercreek Township and call on all citizens to recognize this important event.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Kretz,
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ms. Dean. Okay, moving on to Greene County Sheriff's Report.
Thank you, Board. On page 17 of your packet is the biweekly report for the Sheriff's Office. Are there any questions?
I had none.
Ms. Dean, do you have any questions?
I had none.
And I didn't either. Looks like they're very busy.
Yes, they are, especially this evening. Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 38 of your packet. This was the policy that was reviewed with the discussion that took place at the last trustee meeting. I did bring a hard copy here to highlight the changes. The unfortunate part, if I clicked on Mrs. Frick's, accept her changes, it would change them all. So it would all be black and white as opposed to the color tree that I have here. The colors are depending on who made the changes, as I mentioned in the last meeting. So if we go through on the document, Mrs. Frick's changes are in purple, I guess. I'm looking at this. So on
Okay.
page 2 of the document in front of you, under policy, those 2 paragraphs are the changes. And then if you go to page 3, under sexual harassment, you'll see all the red, but not limited to, was a change that we discussed at the last trustee meeting as well. And then if we go down to discrimination, under A, Ms. Frick it's a blue change there, so I had to make that change just because of if I accepted the notes, it would change it all, so.
Right.
Strike, so A would just say a disability. Next would have been B, where it says parental status or status or as caregiver, for example. That's all stricken as well. And page 4 of the document, you'll see under I, a change there. Excuse me, I'm sorry, there's another one, E, where it says or. That's changed a couple times. And then I is a change, and then you can see the rest of the changes.
4.1, 4.2,
Right.
5.1.
So all the purple changes, I just wanted to highlight the 2 blue changes on page 3. We're accepting the notes and the changes.
Appreciate
Ms. Frick
that.
had.
Are there any questions or comments about the procedures
And,
on
I'll make
harassment and discrimination and bullying?
I'll make a motion to approve the harassment, discrimination, and bullying policy, section 2, number 3, as presented.
Second.
Trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
Yes,
Thanks, Dawn.
and thank you to Trish for putting it through again.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm just making a note here. All right, thank you, board. Next item is a policy change under discipline. On page 46 of your packet, we'll see the changes there. That's been recommended by staff, change colors, whether I made the changes, or Trish made the changes, or Doug Anspaugh made the changes. This also has been reviewed by Ms. Frick. You can see most of it, because there's a couple changes and deletions, changed all the formatting as well. If there's no questions, there's a motion on page 51.
Are there any questions?
I had none. I make a motion to approve the discipline policy, section 3, number 2, as presented.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
Yes,
Thank you, board. Next item is on page 52 of your packet. Same procedure, different colors, depending on who made the changes. This has also been reviewed by Doug Anspaugh, labor attorney, and Don Frick, township council. There are no questions regarding timekeeping. And it's, some of the changes in here I will point out are, it's just based on practices that we're currently doing, and software that we're currently using. We try to make it as vague as possible so it doesn't identify one software. We did make the changes on a practice that we already changed internally with the fiscal office, so we just want to make sure that practice is in the policy as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the employee timekeeping policy, section 3, number 1, as presented.
Second.
Trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
yes,
And the last one I have for you is pretty easy change, on page 57 of your packet, overtime comp time policy. This has been reviewed. The only change that staff is recommending is 3.5, which you can see on page
Right.
59 or page 3 of the actual policy. As board, just to give you a little bit of history, we used to, our salaried employees used to receive comp time. So I recommended several years ago to change that to true salaried flex time. So we had a provision in the last version that had a cutoff date on when they could accrue the hour-for-hour comp time, and when they could use it by. So none of the salaried employees receive comp time, it's all flex. So, for example, staff's here tonight for a couple hours, they flex it during that pay period, but whatever hours they work over.
When you say this has been reviewed by council?
Yes.
Okay.
And is there, with 3.5, you took out the no later than a date. Is there a date when,
No, so no one,
They-
so there was, the date was to when they could use their comp time back in 2015 and when they could stop accruing it. So,
because they,
no salaried employee has comp time anymore.
great.
I make a motion to approve the overtime compensatory time policy, section 3, number 4, as presented.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Crutz.
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 62, is the bi-weekly report, followed by the updated, and I apologize for the formatting issue. If you look under page 64 of your packet, for BWC's claim this year, I had it in the wrong column after getting the stats. So we had 4 for 2021, is 0 for 2021. Trish is here to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
I have
Trish?
none.
I had none.
Well, Trish, thanks for all your work on these changes in policies, and appreciate that we can move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 65 of your packet, is the biweekly report for the community development risk. Randy's on here, he has just a few comments.
Just a little update, or just confirming for the Regional Planning Commission procedure, information that you received at the beginning of the packet. I think we're still waiting, Mr. McConnell's still waiting on Ms. Frick to comment in regards to the procedures. So that's, we're just waiting on that. We'll ensure that the procedures are adjusted appropriately per the ORC.
Ms. Frick also just reconfirming that no past case decision will be impacted by if the procedure was deemed to be not followed correctly?
Correct. If that were to be the case, I mean, at this point, somebody would have had to have challenged it at the time.
Okay, so there's a sunset on their challenge period, that has expired, and so anything that's already behind us is permanently behind us. Okay,
Yes,
so,
correct.
but going forward, we need to understand that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there was also a question whether, which staff questioned as well, was whether it should go from the zoning commission to regional planning back to the zoning commission and then the board of township trustees. And we were, it was not that way, and we've never done it that way. So we have been, since Max has been on board, we have clarified all that with Greene County Regional Planning. And so moving forward, that's how we're going to continue. Just an awareness item, it's also in the packet. You will have a public hearing on the October 12th meeting, 3 cases that evening. So we'll start with, even though it may be out of the numerical order, we're going to start with Ohio University first, since they are traveling from Athens and then returning to Athens that evening. So
When will you be able to circulate packets on those? Can you do it a little bit earlier, potentially? Because it's a lot of information to
yeah, we
digest.
can get something out earlier. I'll work with staff on it.
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, and
We'll
then,
get something out earlier.
okay.
Thanks
Thank
for reminding the trustees about that, Alex. I was gonna mention that. Thank you.
Any questions regarding our community development risk on the report?
As far as single-family or new construction permits, have we had any recent conversation with developers, at least the major ones, relative to what they anticipate for fourth quarter? As far as catching up what we essentially behind where we're at for the year? So I know, I see the 80 versus 65 for year over year, year to date. Just concerned just from a standpoint of, as we approach the winter months, obviously.
I'm here, this is Max McConnell.
Hey, Max.
I can tell you that we haven't had, except for when we did the kind of the update to that plan unit development chart
Sure.
a couple months ago in July. That was the last time we really discussed with developers kind of what the long-range plans are for various sections. We know we've got some Nathaniel's Grove sections that are about ready to start building. They're caught up a little bit in regional planning. They weren't able to get a certain road improvement completed, and that's holding them up from recording their next section. And we've also reached out to a couple of developers to try and see, what their interest is in some undeveloped tracts of land in the township as well. So we're having those kind of base level conversations. As far as, numbers that we might know, and I'll be honest with you, nothing I've heard has indicated that we'll be catching up to the previous year's numbers regarding new home development.
Sure. Okay. And I don't anticipate we will, just, I know many of us received the love letter from David Graham this week relative to property valuations.
Yes.
So when do we anticipate getting an update as far as the new home property value? Will that come in the next couple months, in the next couple weeks?
We'll work with the auditor's office to update our numbers. We just went through that last time, and I don't know if he included that, so we'll clarify.
Okay.
Because he gave us a number that he was anticipating for Beavercreek Township, which was higher. So now, in regards to that increase, that will affect the inside millage, not the outside millage. So the levies are obviously set when they were passed. So it would affect the general fund and the road fund in regards to increases.
Okay. Yeah, some of the comments that I've heard so far, and I don't have any data to support it from the auditor's office, but it'd be interesting to know, is that in the $250 to $350 price range, those homes went up in value significantly, anywhere from 6 to 10% in some cases. And inversely, on the homes that are in the $1 million to $2 million range, dropped in some cases several $100,000 in value. And so it'd be interesting to understand what that, the impact of that. So it's just an interesting dynamic that's at play. So just something to track and to monitor. So.
Absolutely.
I had a question regarding the inspection and code enforcement. How's things going with the pool fencing issues?
This is Max again. So we've resolved the issue with a number of folks that had been outside compliance. Some, like as we kind of mentioned when we initially brought this up, fencing supplies are kind of in short supply right now. It's tough to get your hands on the molded aluminum and things that a lot of people are wanting to get fences made out of. But what we've done is when we talked with the fence company, they told us they had temporary solutions available. So we've required that on the properties where folks are telling us, yeah, we have a fence, it's just not going to get installed for 3 more months. So we've done that in a couple of properties, and there are still a few folks who, despite repeated attempts at communication, have not been communicating back with the township, and those properties are being targeted for increasing enforcement options, essentially.
All right, thank you.
I had I guess more from, a technology question. Is there anything, is there a CRM package or anything that's available within our enterprise accounting system, I guess I'll call it, that would allow, and this just came to mind as far as an example, as far as tracking, and when you have multiple touch points with a resident regarding whether it's permits or fence permits or inspections that follow up or nuisance violations or complaint-driven, follow-ups, where we can automate that process. I saw a note in there that we put together a spreadsheet, which is great. I'm just questioning, my simple question was, does VIP or anybody, is there a CRM module that might help that? And you could adopt that then across other departments for other needs as far as automated follow-ups, whether it be with an employee, with a resident, a contractor. So
We are definitely looking, yep, we're definitely looking at some platforms, including some of the existing platforms that we're using now to be able to do more or less as kind of noted before, one-stop shop that allows us to do some of that tracking between permits that are applied for and can be tracked from start to finish, and obviously analytics pulled off of that too.
sure.
So we are doing that research and actually researching on some of the existing software platforms that we have now.
Good.
So
There are-
there's not, just let me add to that, there's just not one platform.
Sure.
And there is, but we would have had to start that ball rolling with other softwares, and actually, staff recommended VIP as opposed to the, Tyler Technologies, which has 1 billion platforms, and of course, the
Right.
more you add, the more it costs, and then you're stuck with essentially one vendor.
Yeah. A bolt-on
So
was-
we are, we're, and in this case, that's one of the goals for the department is to look at automating everything. Another goal that we looked at was HR software. We will be bringing something relatively soon on that, which automate that, including digitizing.
There's some relatively inexpensive when you look at what the value you get back out of them, as far as almost project management type modules that have a CRM application that allow you essentially to very simply manage a process through completion, and just something to consider, whether.
And also, we're looking at something we can also include the property maintenance code. So when we're out doing code enforcement, we can take a device, much like the tablet. We have the tablets that
Yep.
have been handed down with other projects, that we can go out in the field, take pictures, automate stuff, send it right back, or sync it when we get back to the office. These are all things that Randy and his staff are looking at.
Good.
We're trying to, look at something for the entire department that could be used, another. So, it's truly unfortunate. I think if,
Right.
there's only one player on the block that, in regards to local government, that's Tyler Technologies. So they're the Cadillac of software.
Yeah, I would think even prevention and roads, there's other
Right.
other
So-
departments could benefit from it. so.
In regards to that too, so, when we talk about joint training and cross-training staff, that's one thing that's on the department, Community Development Risk Department, is when we go out, we're gonna do training for all township staff, including road department and fire department, so that when we're out and about, out in the unincorporated area of the township in regards like to the property maintenance code, they'll have basic training so they can identify something and notifies the appropriate staff, or take a picture out in the field, come back, enter it into the system, and then we can start tracking it. So the more eyes we have on things in the community, the better that, things we're gonna be proactive on, and not get to a certain point where, we're talking about enforcement or legal action, and working with our municipal prosecutor in Fairborn. So these are all things that we're looking at, and we're hope to have it's not budgeted this year. However, this may be another opportunity, because of some of the revenue we're getting, not revenue, I shouldn't say the word revenue, some of the money and funds we're receiving under COVID, this will be another opportunity to take a look at purchasing some software this year.
Mr. Grogan, on the prevention side, is there any obligation of a property owner, in the case of a restaurant or an office building or any other type of business that's been shut down for several months due to COVID, when they reopen, to have their life safety or fire detection type systems, or sprinklers, have them recertified? So if they've been sitting idle, so specifically, for 6 months.
Yeah, they are required to maintain those even if they are sitting idle. We have done kind of a prelim kind of evaluation of the entire community to see businesses that we didn't know that were shut down for a period of time and following up with them. You know, the majority of them, some of the higher hazard areas, the restaurants and daycare facilities and stuff like that, we've been on top of. Some of the minor stuff, the minor department stores or something, we're following up on eventually. But yeah, we've been staying on top of stuff that is reopened, ensuring that their fire protection and in turn any additional social distancing applications they would place in there, whether it's large sheets of plastic or something like that, are reasonably within the code and life safety.
Yeah, okay. And I ask it in the spirit of, not in the spirit of looking for violations, but looking at opportunities to try to lend a hand or to help out. So there's some large retail pieces, obviously, that have been dormant now have been dark for a long period of time, actually most of the year. And when you look at the percentage of that space relative to the rest of the building, it's a significant portion of the entire building. And then secondly, there's restaurants, obviously, that their hoods have not operated since March. And so when those hoods are not operating, there's opportunity for other problems. So, okay.
Absolutely. And again, we're monitoring that as stuff gets reopened, and a lot of the restaurants, for example, in our area, have been operating throughout the whole pandemic, where there's been on a limited carryout service, so we're obviously now getting back into sitting down, but we've been monitoring the stuff that's been closed for a longer period of time. So yeah,
Great.
Absolutely
Okay.
helping the businesses as much as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I had nothing additional.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 77 of your packet 76 of your packet, is the IT report, followed by, on page 78, the updated tickets. We'll say the RFP did go out, that the board did approve, and we had a few questions already, so we'll update the list of questions so that everybody has an opportunity to see the questions that are being asked by other interested parties.
And they're due again when by?
They are due at the end of the month of October.
Okay. Looking forward to those.
Mm-hmm.
No other questions?
Nope.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 79 of your packet. First item is on page 79, upgrade to the bathroom at Station 63. Tim's here to answer any questions. There was also a motion on 79 and all the supporting document in the packet.
Any questions regarding the bathroom upgrade?
Mr. Parks, the price for the bathroom upgrade includes raising the floor?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Are they pouring a new concrete over top of the old concrete? Are they jackhammering the old concrete out? Or are they building a wood deck over it?
No, actually, they're gonna take out the section so they can make their connection and then
Put new floor?
make sure that the floor adheres to the existing concrete that's there.
Yeah,
To bring it
okay.
up. Once again, this was a project that we did 10 years ago, if memory serves, and we converted a EMS storage closet into this bathroom for the officer at the station.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Is the grinder pump somewhere you can get to it easily?
Currently, yes, it is. It's
Okay.
actually part of the existing toilet that's there,
Mm-hmm.
which will all be removed. I think we're on our third or fourth grinder pump
Yeah.
since we put this bathroom in. So that's why we went this direction this time, to eliminate that maintenance cost.
Yeah, those pumps are something that you frequently have to change out.
Yeah, and they're not cheap.
No.
I'll make a motion to approve a purchase request 10828 to R.W. Lauterbach and Sons Plumbing for the upgrades to Station 63 Lieutenant Bathroom in the amount of $6,600 and to authorize the Township Administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next item is, it's that time of year, since it is gonna get down into the 30s, I know it's not gonna be snow, we're just talking frost. But it's that time of year to start purchasing some salt. Budget justification is on page 79 with a motion on page 80.
I make a motion to approve purchase request 10830 to Cargill Incorporated for road salt for the 2020-2021 season in the amount of $23,500 and to authorize the Township Administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 82, is the biweekly report for the road department. Are there any questions?
I had none.
I had none. Mr. Kretz?
Nope, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 84 of your packet is a request for special inspection and testing services for Station 65. If you have not driven by the site, I would recommend, there's a lot of activity going on at the site. Both Chief Anabas is here with us and Chief Easter to answer any questions. They will be conducting budget justifications there. We did get the 3 quotes, and there is a motion on page 85.
Drove by
Good
this.
evening, Board. I'm actually going to let Chief Easter take this one since he has the details much better in hand than I do. So.
Chief Easter, is, so this is the compaction testing for the site?
This is all the special inspections. The compaction testing is one of those, but all the special inspections required by Ohio Revised Code and Ohio Administrative Code will be included in this. The architects put this RFP together for us and put that out to get the responses back with the recommended inspections that would be needed by code.
Okay.
Any other questions? Chief Easter? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a, go ahead. That's fine.
I make a motion to approve purchase request 11045 to PSI Intertech for special inspections and testing services in the amount not to exceed $25,000 and subject to legal review and approval, authorize the Township Administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
trustee Kretz,
Yes.
trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 85 is the COVID impact to the community, followed by the biweekly report on page 87. Chief Anabas is here to answer any questions.
And once again, Board, we continue to move through the pandemic. We continue to be lucky in that staff has not been dramatically impacted, nor has the community. Obviously, our numbers continue to increase. That's to be expected, but they have yet to create any sort of service delivery issue. We are also fortunate that the rest of our call volume has remained low, so as we've talked in the past, probably in large part due to folks staying home and doing less out and about has reduced that. So no significant changes this bi-weekly period, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on that.
Are there any questions? The Chief.
I had nothing additional.
I
Mr.
had
Kretz?
none. No. Thank you.
Thank you for doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate your help, for your support.
Okay.
We share this information with Bath Township on a somewhat frequent basis relative?
So same there's a different biweekly report that goes out to Bath Township as
Okay.
well as the city of Beavercreek. It's the
Okay.
same information, it just focuses on potentially stuff. And so Thursday night, you get the packet, and then Chief works on Friday, Bath Township's report, as
Good.
well as the city of Beavercreek report.
Okay,
From what I understand, I know this fact that the city manager shares it with council, and Chief sends Bath Township to all 4 elected officials,
Good.
including the chiefs that cover the rest of the Bath Township districts.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
great.
Good job.
Thank you.
Do we get theirs back?
I don't know,
From the
Chief,
other
do you get
chiefs?
anything from the other jurisdiction?
No.
Of course.
I was asked at one point why I sent it to them bi-weekly, because they had only asked for monthly or quarterly, something like that. And I said, hey, I'm doing it for the rest of my reporting bodies, I'm gonna just do it here and be consistent, so.
Good.
I haven't heard anything since then.
Great.
Nothing wrong with full disclosure.
No,
Yes, sir.
at least we report, and give information.
Okay.
Thank you, board, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Fisk, do you have anything for us today?
Not today.
All righty, thank you. Our fiscal officer, Mr. Rushing, any comments?
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Just a few informational points. First begin with some investment news. I did share this with the Investment Oversight Committee, but to share it with the board as well. Not so bright news, but the Fed has essentially stated they plan to keep rate essentially at near 0% through 2023. What this will entail for us is that we directly follow the Fed funds rates. Previously, they identified 5 years of near zero rates, but they have indicated that they plan to keep rates at near zero through 2023. What that means for the township's portfolio is that, unfortunately, with the small parameters that the Ohio Revised Code gives to the township in terms of what we're allowed to invest in, we can do various strategies, a ladder portfolio or a barbell portfolio, but essentially all the banks are flooded with cash due to all the payroll protection programs and CARES Act. So they're starting to push away from money market funds, as well as Star Ohio, which a lot of public entities use as a basis for their portfolio. Currently, it is trading at, I can give you live numbers here in a moment, at 21 basis points, so below 0.25%. My strategy, as what I entailed in the email, is to not leave any capital on the table. What this means is to ensure that we're always transferring our funds to some sort of vehicle that could get some sort of return on investment that's allowable by the Ohio Revised Code. One of the products that we have been using through Huntington, our new depository, is what's called an MMAX account, and that's essentially spreading the FDIC insurance across multiple depositories, essentially banks across the country, and allows the township to place funds that's fully FDIC insured across the country. The limit was 35 million, but now they're backing off, and they're stating that no single holder of funds can place more than 25 million into the MMAX account due to, again, the flooding of cash that banks have with the payroll protection programs as well as the CARES Act. The MMAX account is yielding 20 basis points. So using Star Ohio as a target on 21 basis points, we're meeting that. Give some context. If we, speaking with Mr. Sumner, our investment advisor, if we went out to a callable 5-year treasury, we may get lucky and find something that's around 40 to 45 basis points. So if we went to the max in terms of our allowable maturity, which is 5 years for public entities in the state of Ohio, we would yield at the best between 40 and 45 basis points. So essentially less than 0.5%. The good news, though, is that due to the oversight by the board as well as good fiscal practice by the township staff, we do maintain very healthy fund balances. So we're not in a situation where we have to, keep funds in a checking account because we need that daily cash liquidity. We do have excess interim funds that we're able to put in different mechanisms, be it a ladder portfolio, but also one of my strategies is anytime we receive advances from the county auditor, we essentially immediately transfer those funds to the MMAX account, which yields again about 20 basis points. The MMAX account provides same-day liquidity. So we use that as, it's not a sweep account, I can't say that, but we utilize it as if it's a sweep account by pushing the cash over, and then we keep a month of operating cash in our checking account to meet our AP and payroll liability. So that is on the investment front. Unfortunately, I wish I could report better news, but I hear the board loud and clear. We cannot lose any opportunity, leave it on the table, and that's my full attention as fiscal officer. A couple other items are the 2 new employees have been quite literally hitting the ground running. I've been hearing from various staff members and observing myself. The staff members bring a very welcoming and refreshing tone to the office. I know they have been through several trainings with all the departments, be it cemetery, be it coming up FLSA training, be it timekeeping. They're working on a lot of different areas, and they're being acclimated very quickly. They have already identified several processes and several areas in which we can improve workflows, and I'm embracing that with full arms. 2 weeks from now, I hope to bring the 2 new employees to the next board meeting, so we can introduce the 2 new employees to the board and get a face to the name, because I have a feeling they'll be here for many years to come to grow and rebuild this office, as it were. And other than that, I know the last trustee meeting, Trustee Kretz did request a general fund report. I do have to mention that last week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, staff worked with Software Solutions and did analytics training. Analytics is the budgetary piece to VIP, the new enterprise-wide accounting software the township is utilizing. We are still working on making sure that we're doing it correctly, that we're reporting numbers correctly. I am more concerned about getting the information in the system accurately and not necessarily in as quickly as possible. And I will not sugarcoat it. We are not as up to speed on that as I would like, but with the transition and with the 2 new employees, there is some delay there, but we are moving very quickly within, I would hope by the next board meeting, to be able to upload to your devices the analytics piece. And there'll be items that you will use in VIP the board can have access to. But we can also set different reports and build custom reports, and I'll be happy to sit down with the board to build those custom reports on what information the board would like to see on a monthly basis. So there's standard reporting like year-to-date fund balances, revenue reports, expenditure reports, but we also can create custom reports, so we can build a report that just shows investment earnings, so that board receives that on a monthly basis as well. I do have to comment though on, just so the board is aware, what I can report is that the board projected a 2020 fund balance, a opening fund balance for the general fund of just under 1.7 million. The actual 2020 general fund balance was just under 2.2 million. So we carried over a significant fund balance. As the board knows, when we go in front of the Budget Commission for Greene County, the tax budget, as it were, that's more of a needs budget. We have to prove a need that we're using these funds and proving that we're not essentially hoarding cash, because that's not the intention of a public entity. That said, as long as we have a plan, as long as we have an idea of where we are going to be expending the funds. The Budget Commission is more than willing to accept larger fund balances, so long as that we have a plan of how we're going to utilize the resources that we do have available. We have received the complete real estate settlements for the entire fiscal year. We actually budgeted $812,000 for the general fund, and we actually received $812,246. So we received essentially exactly what was projected, and that's through staff's great effort of doing yearly averages to project those. Year to date, these are rough numbers. Please note that these are rough numbers. But year to date, actual expenditures from the general fund is about $1.2 million. So we have a total available resources of just over $3 million. We have spent essentially $1.2 million, which means that we have an estimated general fund balance of $1.7 million as of today. Again, these are drafted balances as we continue to work through analytics and VIP. But to give a board an idea of where our general fund balance is, it's hovering around 1.7 million as of today. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Rushing, it's very exciting to hear your transparency, and to be able to receive numbers back from you it's just awesome. So thank you so much for sharing with the board and with the citizens about what's happening with our accounts and keeping us as transparent as we can be. So thank you again for your leadership in this department.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Rushing, on the Budget Commission conversations, and I know that when you have those, there's a function. The conversation is a function of need-based versus, like you said, stockpiling cash. But you might also reference, if we project and look at the next 3 years compared to the past 3 years relative to interest income that the township received. And you look at 100 to 150,000 each year of income that we were receiving, that it will be diminishing and decreasing each year over the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so it's not a slush fund, but that has to come from somewhere. So Absolutely. That will eventually erode that, or has the potential of eroding that balance. Other comment I'll make is just, and this is really, I guess, a challenge to staff, to each department head, and to our administrator, is that in the private sector, we always said if you can't increase sales, you have to reduce costs. And so if revenues are projected to be flat, and from an interest income standpoint, we anticipate a significant reduction in what that income would be to the township. And it was never a matter of making money on the taxpayers' dollars. It was a matter of not having to go back to them for more money and being able to postpone or defer that indefinitely. So sometimes when you look at, if we're trying to replace 100 to 150,000 of interest income, and we have a carryover and we have a healthy fund balance that we're maintaining, look at ways to invest some of that in potential cost savings down the road or improved efficiencies. So whether it be on the healthcare side, as far as preventive things that we can do to keep our costs down, whether it be on the road side with electric vehicles, whether it be any of those options, but almost maybe put out an idea challenge to staff and to department heads, and look for how do we deliver the same or better service at a lower cost without affecting payroll. And so there may be investments we can make with some of that money that will pay a longer term dividend than 50,000 of extra interest income that's a very short term. So just something to look at. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to boards that we represent. MVRPC, our meeting will be this week, so I'll report back at the next meeting.
Board, if I may, on Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, I just want to pass on to staff and community development, the rest department, Randy and his staff, We were able to get a project on the Transportation Improvement District, which we'll probably be voting on at your next meeting. They did a
Thursday.
great job, and that would be the road between Valley and Indian Ripple. We do have a scheduled meeting between staff, myself, and the county engineer to go ahead and start engineering the entire road, and then be ready for, obviously, the township's gonna be required to put in the first 350 feet on the valley side for the fire station. Maxwell Place was, the board already approved, required the 300 feet on the other side. We want to be prepared for engineering and grant money, including investments that we may receive from Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission as well to complete that road as soon as possible.
I was asked by a resident if that road if the intent is to have that road illuminated or lit at night. Will it be street lights? Will it be curb, or will it be culvert and ditch?
So, all great questions. All need to come down to engineering. In regards to light, what staff has kind of envisioned on the road is that essentially from the Indian Ripple side to the north until we hit the Valley Springs development and the airport property, is that would be a traditional road, more of a residential feeder road, if you will, not just a residential road, but a little bit wider, much like Indian Ripple. When we get from the airport property and the McGinnis property all the way to Valley, we are recommending or wanting to have a wider road to anticipate commercial development there, so that it has the ability for truck traffic, easier turn. We don't want boulevards, just because I've seen boulevards put in and years later you're taking out the center section and making the turn lane. So something more of an industrial road that you would see much like in our industrial park or other industrial parks, much wider to handle a lot of traffic. That section would be required maybe to have lights, although we're also dealing then at that point with the FAA. So the FAA has a lot of restrictions regarding lighting around the runways and taxiways. So obviously anything.
No red and green.
Excuse me?
No red.
No red and green, yes. Blue and white too. So we're already talking about non-traditional intersections, at least on the valley side of that road as well. So I think at some point down the road, based on traffic, that would require a light on the Indian Ripple, and whatever we call the new road. We all heard it as the Valley Bell Connector. So we are working hard on that so that we meet all our timeframes, one, Station 66, two, the development, and when we anticipate Ohio Public Works Commission money returning, hopefully next year, we could be ready for an application next year. We are not submitting any applications this year. Just to let the board know, we have some jurisdictions put in applications for everything. When the township decides to put a project forward, it is a multi-jurisdictional project for points. And one of the things that we highlight is, for example, the last Ohio Public Works Commission grant money was for the water and sewer for that essential road to connect for public safety purposes, Indian Ripple to the airport and the Valley Road area. And all anticipated growth that we're anticipating due to approved PUDs on both sides of the airport. So those are some of the things that we've been working on to be proactive. And then it was 9 years before that was our last Ohio Public Works Commission grant, which was Factory Road from US 35 to essentially Yellow Brick, the widening, which was extended a little bit with the Shakertown interchange. So when we go with an application, we're ready to go with funding behind it and multi-jurisdictional or multi-organization. So that's what we're working towards.
I guess I would caution you just to, against presuming that a truck that enters from the south would not exit from the north.
Oh, I don't disagree. I just, we
you know,
don't
as far
have,
as the construction of
Yeah.
the road and
the problem on the other side is we don't have the right of way. So as you know, with
Right.
the developer was nice enough to give us right of way, you know, which we talked about. They could extend the lot lines all the way to the other
construction
property.
traffic, obviously.
Right.
Going up into, the, towards the Sugar Creek area there on Shepherd, construction traffic, because that begins to develop out in Bexley Hills, they will take that shortcut.
Yep, oh, I agree. Actually, if we anticipate that road would be the next north-south artery system in the Beavercreek community. So it's gonna be, especially as things continue to grow around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and missions that are coming to Wright-Patterson Air Force for potential missions that the base is going after. We're gonna see a lot more traffic on that. And essentially what we're doing in this case is,
So you're saying
we kind of
curb-
joke about it, it's really gonna be Treybine, you know, that goes up to Indian Ripple. I mean, it's gonna be called Valley or whatever we call it there, so.
But, so it would be curb and gutter in the quote industrial portion and culvert on the residential style portion, or are you gonna do sidewalks all the way up and down?
That's all part of the engineering.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, if you're
Fair
asking
enough.
me, I would
No,
like
that's probably, we're not there yet.
interconnectivity, so
The
yes.
answer, I guess, we're not there yet. so.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I can tell you the county engineer wants interconnectivity, so there's gonna be, maybe not sidewalks, but definitely a bike path.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about tax, Regional Planning Coordinating Commission.
We had executive committee, we had the full commission, and as Max included in their packet, I believe. So the agenda was dominated by Beavercreek Township, and everything for Beavercreek Township was approved. The only question was procedural, which we're working through. So the regional planning did an amendment to their fee structure. And so if that hasn't been circulated out, it will be. It's essentially, it was a fee for resubmitting a plan a second time. So the first resubmission was gonna remain at no charge, but then any additional resubmissions after that first resubmission would be a $500 charge. But we also added language to that fee structure that essentially indicated and left open the opportunity that fee structure be revisited on an annual basis, and that fees would be increased on an annual basis, a minimum of 5%. And what we tied that back to was the budget hearing, essentially not the budget hearing, but essentially budget time for regional planning. So we have a cycle when regional planning has to present a budget, and they present it to the committee approves that budget. That's the same time when we would revisit that fee structure. So.
Thank you. Health Department.
Meeting is this Thursday, so.
Okay. City Manager and Superintendent meetings.
Yes, I have a meeting this week with the city manager, and that'll be on Wednesday. Met with the superintendent, just by phone, last week, so, obviously, I think most jurisdictions are focused on levies right now. City, obviously, income tax and, schools on the levy being passed.
Have the schools given any indication on what their plan is for their new high school or new elementary school?
Yes.
Have they shared that?
Yes. So obviously, it's all based on whether the levy passes in November. If the levy passes, I think they're going to present to, staff will be presenting to the school board a recommendation to put on the ballot.
The board itself is not?
No, they have not made a
Okay.
decision. They will be given some options and cost of each, and then bonds. Now, the good news in regards to bond ratings for the schools, if you look what Fairborn currently has on their ballot, the Beavercreek Schools bond would be much less than Fairborn's, because we have, the school district has a better bond rating, and there's less debt that the school is holding. So, yes, I can tell you the committee has recommended to staff to present to the school board to build a new high school, and combine the two junior highs to the current location of the high school, so that would be one junior high. And then one of the concepts, now this all has to go to the board, so one of the concepts is that the admin building on Kemp would be all preschool, because of the classes size increasing, we have other schools like Parkwood has preschool, so they have it in 2 locations, so that would bring it all to one house. And then Maine would be all admin offices, which currently has their transportation offices down there as well. And then potentially, Coy Trebine would be a elementary school, and Ankeny would be an elementary school. And that's just kind of the concepts that was recommended in discussions. And the board, the committee was made up of community leaders, myself and the city manager, PTOs, and residents, including some of the school board staff as well.
Thank you. Greene County Township Association meeting will be in 2 weeks. Investment Oversight Committee?
Nothing really to add, so, other than it's best to increase revenue and decrease costs at the same time.
Are there any comments from the trustees before we?
I had none.
I had none.
Okay. I'll accept the motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Trustee Crutz?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, I need a motion coming out of session.
I make a motion to come out of executive session, move back to our regular meeting.
Second.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Crutz?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with PFIC.
Second.
Trustee Crutz?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Thank you, board.
Alrighty. Thank you, everyone.
Make a motion.
To adjourn.
I was gonna say. Second.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Crutz?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes. Thank you very much.